Welcome to Evolving Waves, where we ride the tides of adversity to reach the shores of success. My name is Alan Thompson. I'm the CEO of Stingray Branding, and I am your host. In today's episode, we're focusing on a significant transition, a journey that many can relate to, moving from college to the professional workforce. Meet Tahkya Morrison, our SEO and PPC Specialist, who is dedicated in helping clients enhance their online visibility with tailored strategies and impactful PPC campaigns. With a keen eye for data-driven insights, Tahkya blends her creativity with analytical prowess to deliver measurable results. A proud resident of Charleston, where we are headquartered at, she brings her love for community and culture into her work, all while enjoying quality time with family and friends. And she might even be documenting a few of those adventures on TikTok. Also happy to welcome Sicilia Reed, our passionate marketing manager, whose creativity and strategic thinking are at the forefront of everything that she does. With a focus on marketing, design, and management, Sicilia combines her love for pop culture with data-driven strategies that help clients achieve their unique marketing goals. A Metro Atlanta native, Sicilia is eager to learn and grow within the marketing industry. She's not just strategizing. You can also tend to find her relaxing with her bunny, Jelly Bean, or on the road enjoying some music and maybe even tuning into a podcast like this with her partner. In this episode, Tahkya and Sicilia will discuss their personal experiences of transitioning from academia to a high-tempo marketing agency. And if you have made the transition from college to a high-performance position, you know the stress that can bring. They'll tackle the challenges of overcoming generational stereotypes. Yes, they're in that generation, y'all. And how they've adapted to thrive in the fast-paced professional environment. Tune in today as we will take the ride of the tide into marketing innovation.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Stingray Branding, a national-led generation-focused marketing agency that helps businesses generate an ROI from their marketing efforts, including web design, social media, Google search, email automations, and more. Learn more about them at stingraybranding.com.
With that said, Sicilia and Tahkya, thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. Let's dig into it. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hopefully not too nervous. I think it's the first time you guys are on, right?
Yeah, I'm not too nervous though.
I'm a little nervous. I'm used to interviewing other people, not being the one interviewed.
Yeah.
Well, so this in itself becomes one of those first-time unique opportunities, right? Probably not something that you necessarily trained for in college, unless you did acting school.
Well, my college did offer a podcasting course. I did not personally do it because it wasn't my track, but I do know that there was a course for podcasting. I just never actually did it. So this is my first experience.
All you need to do is take that class, and you could be running this thing right now.
Already.
It's a new class that they're offering at my school.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it started like this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you gonna go back and take it now?
Listen, if I had that extra year, I probably would have.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're gonna make sure that you get an A+ in it.
Oh, thank you.
We're gonna get you certified.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So you guys have recently graduated, right? You're our two newest hires on the team, and lots has changed over the last 10 to 20 years with how the workforce is managed and what's being taught in school. What are you guys kind of digging a little bit into the initial thoughts and feelings that you've experienced transitioning from college life into professional workforce life?
Yes. So my time in college was a little short. I was only in university for 2 years because I received my associate's degree in high school. So definitely, I think that played a big part because it was so fast-paced, and then I was out into the real world. Very nervous. A lot of my peers were still in school, so social life was interesting because I felt like the relatability was different. You know, I was starting to work every day, and then my friends were going to classes every day, so that was different. However, in college, I was very active. I was part of a lot of organizations and everything. So as far as the busyness of it all, that was an easier part of the transition. In college, I was a part of a lot of organizations, so my everyday was very busy, had a full agenda every day. So moving into a marketing agency, I felt like the transition was easier. Still was an adjustment, but I was used to the having a to-do list every day, having tasks that I need to check off every day. So that felt familiar.
Move the mic for me. I would say just about the same in a lot of ways. I also graduated early. I had some college credit in high school and was able to graduate in 3 years. Also did everything on campus as well. So always had a booked and busy schedule. So that wasn't necessarily a challenge to transition from being booked and busy in one way to now being booked and busy for work. I also worked in a couple part-time communication positions on campus. So the actual work I was doing was familiar to me stepping into my new role. And I think it really prepared me for getting hired and being able to have that experience on top of my education as well. So the transition is tough, especially like Tahkya said, like when your peers are still, like your friends, the people you were supposed to graduate with are still in college. You kind of, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I at least look and I'm like, man, I wish I could go do that and hang out in a college town again. But it feels like it's all kind of coming full circle because now they're graduating too. And it's like, oh, okay, like it was supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to be a part of my life that I can look back fondly on, but it wasn't meant to be forever. So it's a hard transition because you're told, it should be this one way, but it's never always going to be that one way. So, but I don't think I was necessarily unprepared for it. Just, you still got to step up to the plate.
That's a good point. So I think that leads right into our next question that we would have, which is, can you share some specific challenges that you faced, either personally or professionally, with the transition from college to professional life?
I can start this one if you want.
That's fine.
Definitely one of the hardest challenges is the job market itself. It feels quite impossible to try and find a job. And I know that's a very common sentiment online, is that, people have been applying for 6 months, 9 months, a year, trying to find any kind of entry-level position. It's not about just getting an education anymore because that was what you were told to do. You were told to go to college, get an education, and you'll get a job. Now everybody has a college education. So now nobody is necessarily standing out for a job. So now you have to have experience on top of your college education. But if you're doing classes and you're doing a full workload, where do you get that experience? And not every college offers jobs and opportunities on campus. So then you have to find that experience elsewhere. So then you're job searching before you even finish your diploma. So I was really fortunate that I got to do that. And then I also, to graduate, had to have an internship. It was a required class for me. So I actually walked in May, but did not receive my diploma until after that summer because I had an internship to do that summer. So I was forced to get experience, which I think is not a bad thing at all. So I think just even finding those entry-level opportunities that actually will give you the chance to learn and grow within the industry is one of the biggest challenges. Because it feels like you already have to have an entry-level job to get into the entry-level job.
Okay. I definitely agree. The job market, that was a challenging time. I know after I finished school, I moved to Columbia, South Carolina, and that was challenging trying to, I would spend the whole day putting in
It was
different
a job.
job applications.
It was a job to apply to jobs.
No, literally, I would go on campus with my friends who were still in college at USC, and I would sit there in the library and put in a lot of job applications and not hear back, or I would hear back and I would go through all these rounds of interviews, but then nothing would come from it. So that can definitely be discouraging, especially with finishing school early, like how you did too. It's like it was less of a window of opportunity to even have experience. But I was also required to have an internship too while I was in school. So I appreciated that because it forced you, to try to build out your resume a little bit better. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
So whenever you think through the process of trying to navigate the waters of the job market, um, obviously you've landed a good position now. Um, what were some of the things that you found when you were going through that process, in terms of expectations that people had in those interviews or in the job descriptions, things that maybe didn't align, and was there anything that you could do to overcome any of those things, any of those hurdles that they were presenting through the job descriptions or expectations or requirements they were looking for, and what did you do if there were opportunities?
You want to take it, or would you like me to?
You start.
Okay.
So you start.
One of the first things that comes to mind for me is I got a certificate of leadership. And so I actually did some courses focusing on leadership and what that looks like to excel as a leader. And one thing we learned is there's always a threshold. So that's your job description, right? It's going to be the need to know the skills in these platforms, or need to be able to handle a high-paced community, right? Like things that are the baseline. And one question I would always try to ask when I got to an interview was, all right, I'm at the threshold. I wouldn't be applying if I didn't have those skills. What makes me go beyond the threshold? What do you look for in a individual that would be someone that goes above and beyond that threshold? And I think asking that question, even if I got rejected from other positions, allowed me to learn within the industry, what are people really looking for? Like not just the job description, but like what are you actually looking for within your company? Are you looking for someone who's going to spend the extra hours? Are you looking for someone who is willing to adapt and learn new programs beyond what's on the description? So I think when you have those adversities, when it comes to those things in those job interviews, also too, how I want to be treated. Like if I got ghosted by, and I'll name drop it, I made it through a lot of interviews for Comcast for an internship with them, and they ghosted me. And I called them because I hadn't heard back. And they said, we'll check your application status. And I received an email 2 seconds later that I got rejected. And I know you're a big company, and even small companies too did this, but you're supposed to be the forefront of communications, right? You're supposed to be, why would you treat, anyone like that? So the amount of ghosting I got versus pure rejections, I valued a company more if they actually gave me a rejection within whatever window they gave me than if they ghosted me, because I don't even know how many jobs I got ghosted for. I don't even remember because I have no information from them. Yeah, so
It almost sounds like the dating world.
yeah, and it's like, and you never know what you did wrong. Like you just straight up, right, like you get into your own head. And then sometimes, I know ghost jobs are a big issue too, where people get a tax cut if they have the job open, so they just keep posting it and people apply and yada yada. So I've applied to some of them and I see the position back open again. I'm like, great, I just wasted my time on that. So I think those are the three biggest: the respect, the actual, like, what are they truly looking for if everyone's the same at the threshold, and the, just ability to recognize when it's a lost cause, I think, for me.
I definitely agree with that. I've had my run with like a fake company or whatever, and
yeah, you had a big run.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I took it very seriously, like, because that was my first time having like the 3 rounds of interviews and everything. And I feel like whenever I was reading the descriptions and everything, I always just made sure I went to interviews like trying to be very positive. I feel like I always smile a lot anyway. I'm always in the office trying to make everyone smile,
Mm-hmm.
So I was always leading with that. And I feel like that did good for me, though, there was a lot of ghosts and a lot of things like that. But as far as interactions in the interview or like rejection letters, they would always speak to that. So I knew that was something that I needed to keep doing, because having a positive workplace is important for everybody, know. So I definitely led with that. So yes, whenever I was doing my job search, I realized that whenever I was looking on Indeed, a lot of the descriptions and requirements, they weren't as high as what I thought they would be. The only thing that was like that stood out was the experience part.
Oh my gosh.
So as far as the list, it was like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I could learn that, but it was oh, we want at least like 3 years in agency work. And I'm like, well, I just
Where am I
finished
supposed to get?
school. So
I did the 3 years.
I don't have it. You know, and that would even be weird because sometimes you'd be like, oh, you need a high school diploma in 3 years of agency work. And I'm like, well, I have a degree and I don't have, if you just take a chance on me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely, I wasn't expecting that. I actually thought it was going to be harder. Like the description, the lists were going to be more rigorous.
I have a cousin-in-law who gave me the biggest piece of advice when it came to applying. He told me that there's statistically men apply to jobs not even if they have 80% of the skills that they ask for, and women always only go for 100%. And so he straight up told me, he looked me in the eye and he said, have the confidence of a man. And I said, okay. So I just started, if I had 80%, 70% of the skills on the list, I was like,
I applied too.
Right. I was like, I am a capable young woman who can absolutely learn things. If you need me to do something, fine, I'll learn it. But I'm not going to let that deter me from casting my net wide, because you have to throw it to the Mediterranean at this point.
See what comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so thinking through that, right, what are some of those experiences in college that you feel have translated over to a high-paced position?
Balancing all my stuff. I mean, I think we both spoke to how busy we were on campus. I was in a sorority. I did multiple clubs. I was the president of our marketing club. And I was a part of our honors college, and you know, I never let myself join things without being able to put myself in it fully. And I tried new things. I fully wanted to experience as much as I could, but when I really found something that clicked, okay, I'm going to do this 100%. Because being able to give myself 100% across multiple things shows where I can't and what I can strengthen. So, okay, I'm in the honors college. I want to graduate with high honors. How do I do that? What are the initiatives I need to take? Okay, can I do this? Yes, let's do it. How do I be active in my sorority and actually take full advantage of being in one? So I think those busyness skills, I wasn't coasting through anything. I was a mass communication major, which was in our College of Arts and Sciences. My minor was in marketing, which is in our College of Business. I was not a marketing major, but I was the president of the marketing club. I accidentally got put on the student advisory board for the entire College of Business because they assumed I was a marketing major. They didn't even bother to check. And I went to one of those meetings because I felt like I should show up. And they were like, you're not a marketing major? I'm like, no, I just happen to be the president of your marketing club because I stepped up and I gave it 100%. And I was on the board since freshman year. And I grew that club from 5 people a meeting to about 50 or 60, which at small college is huge. So yeah, just that level of commitment, and I saw the fruit it could produce, I think has translated very well to my job. And I think hopefully you see that too, and hopefully people I work with see that I'm willing to do that.
It's interesting. Somebody told me at one point that, you know, the reason why most companies require college experience isn't because of what they learn in college. It's because it proves that they were capable of going to school for 4 years, managing their own life, getting, you know, meeting deadlines and checking off the tasks that need to be done to graduate without their parents being there to baby them the whole time. And it makes total sense to me thinking through it, because that's, at the end of the day, like, that's the core fundamental of being a successful professional. I want to get into some stereotypes a little bit, right? So you guys are in the generation that
You could say it. We're Gen Z.
yeah, that
It's not a taboo word.
you're in Gen Z, right? And the stereotypes that go along with that have definitely been, you know, caring much more about Starbucks and work-life balance than actually getting in and putting in the effort to master a skill set and master a career field and develop an actual long-term career at a company. And that, you know, if you're unhappy, you just leave and go somewhere else. You just keep bouncing instead of overcoming some adversity and getting yourself to the next level in that profession. So I want to open it up because, you know, within there's lots of different challenges that can be presented in different types of companies. With a small business, you have a much closer knit team. You have lots of a much higher chance of personality conflict because you don't have anywhere to go. The demands can be much higher because you can't pass it off right? You don't get the chance to be like, cool, we'll have the team of 5 do this. You know, the team of 5 is you. It's one. So thinking through some of those things, how would you speak to the stereotypes? First, if you think that they are legitimate for the generation overall, and then second, do you feel like how have you overcome those stereotypes in your own life? Like what have you decided mentally to shift to not fit that mold if you think that they are legitimate?
I'll be brief.
Okay.
I think one thing I learned was stereotypes always come from a place of truth. Even if the stereotype itself has been very much monsterized and not true for every individual within a community, I think there is, like you said, work-life balance. Huge for Gen Z. And I think the reason that there is a stereotype of, well, if we're unhappy, we leave, is because loyalty is not rewarded the same way that it is in the modern business world as it was 20 years ago. If you stay at a company for 20 years now, there's no guarantee that you're ever going to move up the corporate ladder or that you're going to receive a pension or that they're going to give you anything back, because there's such an emphasis on profit and, being able to maximize everything. So the expenditure of employees has become the new norm. So I think to say that Gen Z doesn't want to put in the work diminishes that they do, but they don't want to put in the work somewhere that they're not going to get rewarded for it. And if they're not happy with the work and they know they're going to just toil away for 50 years somewhere, they at least want to enjoy what they're doing. And I think that mindset is going to help Gen Z truly find a new way to manage corporate America and corporate across the world, but at least for the country we live in and the way our country operates. I think hopefully maybe as Gen Z steps into more positions, and even the millennials too, they're the new 30, 40-year-olds in those positions. I think hopefully there will be a shift back to, we want to reward loyalty, we want to reward hard work, because I don't think Gen Z is as lazy as everyone says. I think they're just tired of being exploited. And I think that they're tired of being told that they're lazy when they're like, we don't know, we just don't want to be taken advantage of. I know I at least feel that way.
I agree. Yes, I don't agree with Gen Z being lazy. I could see where that perception comes from. However, I feel like, even going back earlier, our parents told us, oh, go to school and then get an education and then get a job and then you'll get a house and you'll have a family, and that's how it's supposed to go. But I think everyone knows that it's just not that way anymore. A lot of people, not even just in our generation, has to work more than one job. That's just like a normal thing that everyone does now, So, and I also feel like, social media plays a big hand too. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're having this exposure to how other people are getting treated or other opportunities. So it makes your current route that you're on, you evaluate it differently. It's like, well, if I'm not happy here, if I'm not getting treated well, whatever it is, some people, if I'm not getting paid enough, I'm going to go somewhere else, So I could see from a business standpoint how that could be frustrating, having like employees, come in and out. However, I think for the generation as a whole, I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it gives us all like more confidence to go and try new things, to put ourselves in different situations. I think it'll be overall a good thing.
I think companies, I was just going to say, I think companies get mad when we treat ourselves as expendable. Like, if you were going to, you don't give us a notice when you fire us. Like, why would we give you a notice when we want to leave? Like, it's just the same energy going back to the corporation. And I think they're just like, what? You don't want to stay here and work for 20 years when we don't give you anything? Yeah. So, and
there's a difference, even like, I don't know if your college had it, but my college had like mental health days. That wasn't something that used to happen either, like, so there's definitely more of a priority for mental health. And I think that's a conversation that's being brought up more. So there can be better understanding with that. So I can see, there might be a disconnect.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the constant exposure to alternatives creates a lack of contentment and constant need for change?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it even works that same way with other areas in life, like even with like relationships and stuff like that. Like, the marriage rates are going down and everything. And I think media plays a big part because it's so easy to compare now than what it used to be before. Like before, all this exposure, you would have your job. It was kind of easier to have gratitude for the job that you had because you weren't comparing it to other things.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think too, we can't afford to even settle down in one place. Most people can't afford to buy a house anymore. So it's not like we have the opportunity to plant roots and go into a company and stay. So you're constantly looking for the alternative because maybe you don't get paid enough to live where you currently are. So then you get forced out of the area you're in, and then you have to go look for a new job, or you're in an industry that's very volatile and the turnover rate is high. So then you have to be constantly on your toes. I know at least in the creative industry, for a lot of artists and people within that, that's just their norm. And even with the rise of AI and the way that things are shifting, computer science used to be the big thing that everyone would go and do, and then you had a job for 30 years. I know people in the computer science industry that don't know if they're going to have a job tomorrow. I was like, no, that's mine. Like, I don't want you to deal with that. So I think it's just, yes, the higher exposure makes you way more aware, and ignorance is bliss, where if you don't know, you're not going to want it. But I think there just isn't an opportunity to genuinely be content if you're constantly having to be on your toes. Like if we don't own a house, if we don't own a car, if we don't have the right to own things anymore, we've got to be constantly looking for the next deal, next advantage, next this, next that.
So this is a moment of truth in front of the world. How happy are you with the positions that you found after college?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm super grateful, like beyond grateful. I think I knew very, very, very early I wanted to go into agency life because it teaches you everything and anything. And if there ever was a testament to Gen Z is not lazy, look at what we do. Like I genuinely would love to see, and this isn't a dig necessarily, but I have to help my mom open Word. And I'm like, what a blessing it is. You've never had to experience the Microsoft Office suite. Like, you've never had to do this. Or even my dad, sometimes I have to help him, and he's still very much active in his industry. I don't know what my future holds. Like, people say, what's your 5-year plan? Girl, I'm just trying to figure out where I'm getting groceries. Like, I live at home because I'm trying to save money, and I'm grateful I can, and I'm in a position where I can do that. But I don't even know where I'm going to be next year for other reasons. But it just, it's so volatile that I'm just so grateful for each day I get to wake up, work hard, see the fruit of my work, because working in social media, you literally see it, and hopefully continue to make an impact within the industries I work in.
Yes, I love my position. And Alan, I'm so appreciative of you, because leaving from Columbia and coming back to Charleston was scary. I was like, I don't know. I didn't want to stay home. That's why I left initially. But I'm like, okay, I have to come back. I have to go back to the drawing board. And you presenting me the opportunity to come work here. I'm grateful, 100%. Very appreciative of that. I think that I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
You
the
moved
next
back?
part was,
Do you like it?
yes, that I do like it. It was another part.
Was there another part to the question?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah.
Satisfied with
No,
the
there
role,
was
yeah.
something else I was going to say. Guys, I suck at this. I never need to, no one ever needs to interview me. I never need to be in this chair. There was literally a whole nother part I was going to speak to, and I don't remember.
So whenever we do a 3-year anniversary recording, if there's 2 other people sitting here, then you'll know that they both lied.
Oh my goodness.
Well, maybe it wasn't bad blood. Maybe it's just,
No, because I agree with, working in marketing, you're learning everything. So if anything, I'm very appreciative that I was able to start there and being thrown into a situation where there is so much happening, you have to be on your feet. So that's going to benefit us in the long run. So,
What would you offer to recent graduates that are trying to find a role right now in the market?
it sucks, and you're not crazy for thinking that it does.
yeah.
I feel like even just that validation.
Definitely give yourself grace. I need to give myself grace throughout the process. Don't be so hard on yourself. Whenever I got out of school, I was serving. I still serve from every now and then, so there's nothing wrong with that, with working, and don't lose hope. Don't feel like you have to stay in that box. You're capable of doing way more than that. So don't be discouraged. It took me 9 months, to be honest with you. It took me 9 months to then be here and be settled. So
Yeah.
Do either of you have mentors?
I would say my dad is probably my mentor, but he has always encouraged and slightly forced me into the position I'm in. I wanted to be an animator growing up. I got to go study at SCAD for a summer doing a program with them and got to learn under some really cool people. And I loved art, and that's what I wanted to do. And Dad basically said, no, that doesn't make money, and I want you to be comfortable and happy. But there's a way to do both. So he's the one that kind of led me towards communications and social media and, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm very grateful he did in the long run. I still love animation. I still want to have that creative outlet, pure creativity like that. But I get to be creative every day and use the other skills and talents that I have. Customer relationships, being able to work on busy schedules, time management, you know, having a good attitude. So I think finding a job where you can fully have all your skills and talents be pushed and tested and also enjoyed is super important. So I'm very grateful for my dad for that. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but maybe he'll listen to this and actually know I care. But
we love you, Dad.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yes, I would say I grew up next door with my best friend, and her mom is definitely my mentor in a way of, you know, she was in the military for 20 years. She's very resilient. And so when speaking to her, she reassures me, but she's also one to be like, you're okay. You're okay. So this is what you need to do. And, you know, you have to work hard and then you get to play harder. That's her whole thing that she always says to us, you know. So she's very strong. So it helps me when speaking to her of like, okay, if she's able to do this, I can do this, you know. And so she's definitely the one I look up to and who I call. In college, I had a few mentors with professionally with, you know, speaking and resumes and different opportunities and things. So I'm appreciative of that. I reach out to them every now and then.
I should reach out to my professors.
Right.
I love them.
They're a great resource. That's one thing I wish I utilized more.
That's another tip. Please connect with your professors.
Do it.
They care so much, and especially now when more than ever it's who you know.
Yeah.
They probably were in your field. Talk to them. They probably know someone.
It's great. It's great advice. So as we wrap up today's episode, if you guys are looking to follow Tahkya and Cecilia's journey and watch their evolution as they go through their careers, definitely check out Stinger Branding on social media. And they might have their own TikTok channels as well that you might want to go check out. They got some entertaining things on there. Cecilia particularly likes to make lots of funny videos in the office making fun of all of us.
Whoa. I am usually the forefront of our branding TikToks thing very much.
Sometimes she gets to throw things at her boss.
And then he gets to throw a box in my head. So the law of equivalent exchange still applies.
Full force. Full send. Chuck it.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in today. As we wrap up today's episode, remember that in the face of adversity, there is always the potential for growth, resilience, and success. Join us every other Monday as we continue to explore inspiring stories of overcoming challenges to help you thrive in your journey of life. You're not going to want to miss the next episode. We've got a gentleman that went from being a car salesman to leading one of the largest DJ companies in the city that leads the entire country in weddings.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Super cool.
Guy is super cool, super big innovator. He's the reason that you have silent disco headphone events in the United States. You're not going to want to miss it. So tune in next time. Thanks for listening, everybody.